Hello, everyone. My guest today is Andy Beal. He's the original online reputation expert. Today, he's the CEO of Reputation Refinery and Tracker. Beal is an online reputation management consultant, award-winning blogger, professional speaker, and co-author of the critically acclaimed book, Radically Transparent. All right, Andy, are you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it.
All right, good. Now, you've also worked on a recent book called Repped, 30 Days to a Better Online Reputation as an Amazon bestseller. Many people would say, if this guy's company is so successful, he wouldn't waste time writing books. Why do you do both?
I've always liked writing. I like teaching. So I kind of like the work that I do to learn about the industry that I'm in. And then writing the books is kind of like scratches that itch of teaching. So I don't have the chops to be an actual teacher. So writing is kind of the next best thing for me. So
tell me more about Reputation Refinery. What's the business model?
The business model for that was actually out of necessity. I've been in the reputation management space for quite a while. And I started having a lot more people contact me asking for reputation management services. You know, they needed to repair their reputation or they needed advice on how to build a good brand. And it got to the point where I just couldn't stop saying no. So a few years ago, launched Reputation Refinery just to take on a few select, literally a handful of clients at a time that I feel I can genuinely help. So that's the reason for a Reputation Refinery.
And is it an agency or is it a software platform?
That's an agency. So Reputation Refinery is actually providing consultancy services to brands. Tracker is a software platform, and that's over 10 years old now, and that's actually a social media reputation monitoring dashboard.
Okay, which one makes you more money?
Believe it or not, Reputation Refinery probably has the better profit margins, whereas Tracker, because it's a SaaS product, it runs on its own. So I guess Tracker in a way, because I can kind of go off for the day and Tracker still does its thing. Reputation Refinery kind of relies on my time and my team's time. So
yeah. So I've never heard an agency have higher profit margins than a SaaS product.
Well, okay, maybe not higher profit margins. Maybe I worded that wrong. Maybe just higher profits.
Well, even profits, because software doesn't have human costs typically, whereas agencies, you're basically billing human time, which has higher cost.
Yeah, but reputation management is one of the most in-demand services that are out there, because a lot of companies that come to us have really serious issues. Like you type their name into Google and they have, negative things on the first page. And it would have been cheaper for them to focus on building a good reputation from the outset, but they haven't. And so it's kind of like,
Andy, just to be clear, I get that. I completely get what you're saying. It's a huge space, but software companies typically have gross margins of 85%. Agencies rarely have margins greater than 50%. So I'm curious how you're getting a higher margin on your agency model than you are your SaaS company. That seems backwards to me.
But it's, I don't have a lot of employees. I do a lot of the work myself because I only work on like 4 or 5 clients at a time. So that's kind of the way it works. Whereas, the software, it's probably got a higher profit margin, but the profits from the agency side is actually higher.
Okay, yeah. Just to be clear, you make more money. There is more revenue in the agency on a percentage basis, which is what gross profit and EBITDA margin, these margin numbers are. The software thing is more productive. It makes you more money with less cost.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. We're clear now. We're on the same page. So let me ask you a question. Why not go all in on building the more efficient software business that can help more people at scale versus keep continuing to do the agency stuff?
It doesn't interest me. It's when I built the software, it was again out of necessity. So there was no affordable product out there that could offer social media monitoring that was easy to use and affordable. Everything was costing $10,000 a month, and I wasn't going to pay $10,000 a month. So I decided to build something. And I realized, I assumed that you would build software and it would all just run and it would be easy to scale. But software, you get a lot of bugs. You have to, there's a lot of, even though it's a self-service software, there's a lot of customer contact points. And it's just an ongoing thing. So the actual scaling up any business doesn't appeal to me. I'm kind of more of I'm more of the Mexican fisherman. I just want to kind of do enough so that I can, make a living, do the things that I enjoy doing. So I usually have 3 or 4 projects running at any one time. And those keep me busy. They diversify my interests because like I said, I enjoy writing, I enjoy consulting, I enjoy a little bit of the software, but I don't want to get investment. I don't want to have a lot of employees. I don't want all the headaches that come from it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's spend real quick about a minute on Tracker, then spend the rest of the time on your other stuff, because it sounds like you're more interested in that anyway. On Tracker, it sounds like people pay you per month. It's a software product. What do people pay on average per month?
Well, it varies from $97 to $447. I would say most people come on board at the $97 a month plan, but we have agencies that go with a higher plan because it's white labeled. And then we have APIs as well that we sell, which are priced a little bit different.
Okay, so but if you just take your total customers divided by your revenue, is it a fair average about $100 a month?
Probably about $150 a month.
$150. Okay, fair enough. And when did you launch that company, the Tracker?
2007.
2000. Okay, so it's been around a while. It has some. And what have you scaled it to in terms of total customers?
We have about 70,000 registered users.
Okay.
So yeah, and majority of those are using our free product. We have in the hundreds range that are actually paying.
Yeah. So I mean, even if you just have a minimum of 100, right, times $150, $150 ARPU, that's like a healthy business doing about what, 15 grand a month top line.
We do pretty good. Yeah, we don't discuss numbers publicly, but it does pretty good. I mean, it's we have low costs because it pretty much runs itself at this point. So I only have one or two developers that are kind of working on it. And right now it's so low maintenance. We're working on some new APIs. So
how many members of your team are focused exclusively on Tracker?
I've got one guy right now.
Okay, so let me ask you an interesting question here, right? This reminds me of Brand Yourself. We had him on recently as well. He was very much like where you were, running an agency plus software. He decided to go all in software and now just very little agency. I mean, why not take what you've built here, which is a healthy software company with historical SEO value, hundreds of customers, north of 15 grand a month in revenue. Why not sell it to somebody that will scale it and then make an agreement that anyone that comes into their ecosystem, they have to introduce to your agency as well?
Yeah. I mean, if that strategic relationship was to materialize, then I would be open to that. We've had similar discussions in the past. We came close on one deal that kind of just didn't quite kind of work out.
Why did it fail?
He couldn't raise the funds. So
Got it. How do you value a company like Tracker?
In terms of what? The actual cost or how?
Well, yeah. So look, I mean, this is, I think, an interesting opportunity for you. This podcast audience really serves M&A people. It's M&A. I mean, we've had companies come on and the day after they're selling. I mean, for $20-30 million, or they're raising a bunch of venture capital. When you think about how you value Tracker, if someone wanted to make you an offer for it, what numbers start to be interesting for you?
Really, once you get to seven figures, I mean, even, low seven figures is probably the interesting, point for us to kind of make it worthwhile. I've sold companies for $30,000 that I've built for $2,000. And then I've sold some for, six figures, and I've not sold anything for 7 million, seven figures, but I have been involved in teams that have. Again, it's, maybe I'm a little bit different than I know some of your guests that you have come on, because I'm not. Earlier in my career, I chased the big exit, right? So I chased the being sold and all the stock options and all that kind of stuff, and it really wasn't satisfying. So now I kind of spend a lot more time chasing the lifestyle that I want to live. In fact, in another book that I would write would be The Lifestyle Entrepreneur, because I think that there's a lot of us, a lot like me, that really want to have just enough to kind of, to subsidize and pay for, traveling and hobbies. And, I play a lot of tennis. I see that you had a background with tennis. Yeah. I mean,
where are you based?
My butt. I'm in Raleigh, so we got some good tennis courts here. We have indoor courts too.
Listen, I have a lot of friends in the Research Triangle. I'll get two of my tennis buddies to come out. We'll play doubles. In warm-ups, I'll decide if I want you on my team or if I want to play against you. How about that?
That's generally what everybody else does too.
I'm just kidding. No, so real quick, wrapping out this before we go more on the agency. I mean, if you're doing 15 grand minimum a month, that's 180 grand a year. You can pretty easily sell a company. I don't know what your churn and all that is, but pretty easily sell that for $250,000, right? And then it's not a distraction. And by the way, whoever buys it will go all in and scale it and basically grow the exposure of that, which then feeds off to you and your agency, which it sounds like you enjoy, but you wouldn't sell for $250,000. You want seven figures, which is backwards to the advice you just gave, which is you're not looking at chasing the big exit anymore.
Yeah, but there's more, there's just a number of factors to it, right? So it's like if it's working, if it's generating income, and your numbers are a little bit off. We're talking about just generalization with your numbers, but if
Am
it's
I high
generating,
or low?
it's you're a little bit low.
Okay,
So
got it.
if it's generating income, then I have no motivation to sell it. It's just there, right? So I can hold out for whatever, the price that I feel is more than just what shows on the P&Ls, right? So it's more than just the numbers. It's what's been put into it. SEO you've talked about. It's the brand. We've been around for over 10 years. So it's a very recognized brand, very strong. Lots of references from mainstream media, been on a lot of TV shows and, quoted in the media, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of intangibles there that for me and also just the fact that it's like, hey, I don't need to sell it. It's like, again, I'm not chasing an exit. Nothing that I do chases an exit. It's just all about what interests me. And I enjoy the parts of Tracker. There's some stuff that I don't enjoy, but yeah. So you know what, so it's like, if I was building it because I wanted to sell it and then move on to the next project, I've done that. And I've done that.
But by the way, nobody does that. Nobody, when they on day one of the company says, I'm building this to sell it tomorrow. Nobody does that. It's all some kind of, no, there is nobody on day one that goes, I am only doing this, even though I hate it. It's no fun. I hate the industry. I'm building this to sell it.
Yeah, there are.
Who?
You've not interviewed them that clearly, but I mean, there are. The people that you interview on your show, the people that you're absolutely right. The people that you interview, they're the ones that like, hey, we were in this from that. This is my blood, sweat, tears. But there are a lot of people out there that like see an opportunity, see that see that there's a market there. They have the resources and they build it and say, okay, this is something I could probably build and then sell. Now,
yeah,
they can't sell it for millions of dollars.
At the end, though, my point is they may go in as an opportunist to say, well, I can build revenue here and I can pay myself a lot of money and make a lot. They never go in saying, I'm going to sell this. Now, sales offers comes along and eventually they take the deal when it makes sense. But no, I have never met any entrepreneur that goes in saying, I'm only building this to sell. That is my only goal with this.
I have.
Interesting. I would love to chat with him. I've never seen that be the case. Most people, they see an opportunity, they want to make money, they want to grow revenue, they want to get rich that way. A good sales offer comes along and they take it.
I'm not saying you've not met those people, but I'm saying I have met those people. So I mean, they do exist. I think that they probably don't get to the scale of success that warrants coming on your show. So you probably just don't get to chat with them.
Yeah. Interesting. Let's shift over to your other stuff you're working on. Books. You've written a lot of books. We have a lot of people that might be software CEOs that are thinking about writing a book to get more market share, right? More thought leadership. Tell me about your books. Are they self-published or did you work with a publisher?
First one was a publisher, Wiley.
Okay.
Second one, I self-published. The things have changed since the first book. First book was 2007. If you self-published, it was all vanity press. It was basically saying that you had failed as an author and the only way you could get your book out was to publish it yourself, or it was some kind of like thing that should have just been an ebook. But these days, I would say definitely go the self-publishing route because, the services are out there. I used Amazon. You can basically hire your own editors, hire your own graphic designers for the cover, and you can write it. Now, if you go that route, don't expect it necessarily to be on the bestsellers list unless you're willing to pay a firm to kind of inflate the numbers.
But certainly you can't just be a real bestseller. You have to pay to inflate everything.
Well, a lot of people do. There's a system to it. Let's put it this way: if you want to be on the bestsellers list, unless you are very well known and you're working with a publisher that's pulling out all the stops, then you've got to get the right sales at the right time at the right channels in order to get on the bestsellers list. And that takes money. And if you want to make that investment, fine. But otherwise, for me, like as you kind of indicated, it's a great lead generator. It positions me. It just cements my position as a thought leader in the space. I enjoy writing now and then. So it kind of helps me to kind of get stuff down on paper.
Did Wiley not? So, I mean, listen, what I'm hearing is obviously publishing is changing. You work with Wiley on the first one, you didn't on the second. So you didn't enjoy working with them or it didn't work out. They didn't help you with distribution. The advance wasn't big enough, whatever. You didn't enjoy it. So I mean, many people would say, I want to work with a publisher because they're going to help me sell more books. You're saying, no, that's not the case.
For the average author, that's not the case. And I think that's a big misnomer that the publisher is going to pull out all the stops to help you sell the books. Yeah, they get you into the bookstores. Yeah, they get you in the different distribution channels. But unless you're a politician or a movie star, something like that, big name, they are relying on you to use your network to get the book sold. So that Wiley was great to work with. Loved working with all the editors, loved the resources they provided, but the actual promotion was down to me.
So in order to get these big publishers interested in you, some people will say, well, if you can get them to commit to a big advance, they have more on the line. They're more likely to go to work for you. So based off what you know about advances, what size of an advance do you think an author needs to get to really understand that as a signal from the publisher that, hey, we will help you market the book?
It's a good question. It's probably not an advance that I would ever see. So I mean,
but are we talking like $100,000, $10,000, $1 million?
Probably maybe closer to the $100,000. I would say that's probably a significant input. Anything less than that, and they're probably more likely to rely on you to do the publication.
Yeah, it's a decimal error write-off for them if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So books are doing how many? So the Wiley book, how many copies have sold, and what year was launch year?
2007. I don't know. In the low thousands. It wasn't like a bestseller.
Okay.
And the same with Rept.
Okay. And I mean, is this basically a glorified business card for you? Is that what makes you sit down and take the time to write it?
It's a good question. Yes and no. I think that for me, yeah, it's probably generated more in consultancy contracts than it has in book sales. So yeah, it's a here's who I am, here's what I'm known for. Business card, maybe not quite that, but yeah, along those lines.
All right, Andy, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. The first one, what's the last business book that you read?
The last business book that I read was probably The Lean Startup. Now, I was expecting you to ask my favorite business book, so I've got that answer. So, what's your favorite? Tim Sanders, which is Love is the Killer App. If you've not read that book, it's a fantastic book. It's all about basically being a love cat and sharing everything you have with others in order to kind of, it's almost like karma for business, if you like.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Always following Richard Branson. He's been a hero of mine since I was young. Scott Wingo, CEO of Spiffy right now, but also previously Channel Advisor. He's a local guy, really good guy. And been a good mentor to me, and he's a good guy I think for anybody to follow. Maybe not on a lot of people's radar, but a good guy, Scott Wingo.
Yeah, and that was back, if you guys want to hear Scott's episode, that was back on episode 910 we had him on. Great guy, really, really smart. Number 3, Andy, what is your favorite online tool for building your business?
So excluding all the social media tools, because I think that's a little bit cliche to throw those in, I really like Zendesk, which is a really good customer relationship tool. I like Cashew for the accounting and just sending invoices and things like that. I think those are 2 affordable tools that a lot of people could benefit from using.
And number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
A lot. I sleep pretty good. So like I said, I'm the next.
A lot?
About 8 or 9, depends. Okay. I don't go to bed too late.
And what's your situation? Married, single, you have kiddos?
Just married, and my wife and I, we like to travel. We play a lot of tennis together. So
good. And how old are you?
I am almost 44. 40. I'm holding on.
Holding on to 43. Last question, Andy. Take us back to your 20-year-old self. What do you wish you knew?
Well, I've already kind of hinted to it, and I definitely would have told my 20-year-old self to read the story of the Mexican fisherman. And if your listeners are not familiar with that, then just go Google it. It'll be easy to find. But basically, when I was young, I was chasing after that exit, chasing after those stock options. And it really didn't bring me the happiness that now, where I've got lots of different things that interest me. I'm not chasing after the dollar. I'm chasing after almost a semi-retirement kind of plan. Read
Mexican Fisherman earlier. That's the advice Andy wish he knew. Today is a nice kind of dual threat going. Tracker software platform launched in 2007, now doing north of $15,000 a month in revenue, basically running itself. It does less revenue, though, than his agency, which obviously consults on reputation management and online reputation management, which is doing well. He does consulting gigs there, uses his books to drive those sales. Andy, thank you so much for taking us to the top. And guys, if you want to learn more from Andy, go check out Rept. It's his latest book, 30 Days to a Better Online Reputation. Andy, thanks so much for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it.